Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is July 7th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery as of yesterday. You can see we did have a few thunderstorms pop off across some of Northeast California and across some of the Sierra Nevada, central Sierra Nevada, right off to the west of the Nevada California border there. And if I put that into motion, I talked about this in the models yesterday that we did have the chance for thunderstorms in this region here. So I think the RRFS, the Rapid Refresh Forecast System, the high resolution model, did a pretty good job with that overall. And then we went through the overnight hours. Here we come back out through this morning, get an early start to things here. And you can see that marine there is pretty well entrenched down towards Point Conception for the most part. There is some more sunnier skies across some of Southern California here, though, this morning. And now taking a look at some of the fires that we do have the pipeline fire there at San Diego County. It's over for 1,000 acres. It is 0% containment right now. Otherwise, we don't have any large fires, but that's one to kind of keep in the back of your mind. But yeah, doing okay so far this year, especially compared to what's been going on across portions of Utah and Colorado. Now, taking a look here at the heat advisory coming up as we go on in through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to warm up a bit. Not an extreme heat wave, but again, temperatures are going to climb somewhat as we start to get some ridging. The heights are going to start to bounce back here. I'll show you more on that here in a minute. And if we look at some of the critical fire danger there across some of Northeast California, and again, we'll have to watch over the next few days to see if any of those lightning strikes actually produced any kind of fires out there. So sometimes it takes a day or two for those to become apparent. Now, taking a look here at again, you got the heat advisory, and then there's the extreme heat warning for some portions of Salton Sea out in towards southeast California, and that's off into Arizona there as well. So if we take a look at the composite reflectivity and to see what we may be dealing with there over the next 3 or 4 days, we'll scroll through the day today, and you can see that most of that shower activity there hangs off across portions of Nevada, and that is moving off to the northeast. So it just kind of keeps that just to the north and east of the California border. We go on in through Wednesday, and it pops up a shower across portions of Northeast California. There may be a stray shower back towards Northeast California. Not much to speak of there. So we're in a little bit of a waiting game here before the monsoon season starts to kick into gear. So I'll show you more on that here in a moment. We'll go over all that. But I also wanted to draw the attention to there may be a tropical system out here that develops. And this one eventually, as we go through the week to 10-day period, 7 to 10-day period, could start to spread some moisture also back towards California as well. So that's something we'll be watching here as we go. Now, if we look at the artificial intelligence ensemble mean, you can see the ridge kind of building here as we go through the middle portion of this week. Heights increase. We're looking at the mid levels of the atmosphere, and this would be known as a ridge. You can see there's troughing here. That's where the atmosphere is thinner. You tend to get convergence, clouds, precipitation, cooler weather in a trough, although this one is not particularly strong. I'm just trying to get the point across to you. You can see the lowered heights way up across portions of the Gulf of Alaska and some of northern British Columbia, but the higher heights here, thicker atmosphere, sinking air, generally fewer clouds and less precipitation. So if I put that into motion, you'll see this ridge start to take and get established here across center portions of the USA, warming things up quite dramatically, and it also brings this return flow out of the south that starts to kickstart the monsoon moisture here across portions of the southwest USA. And a lot of that moisture is supposed to move up into California and maybe up towards Oregon as well. Monsoon doesn't always mean big time rainfall. It's a wind pattern. So you can get just an increase in the relative humidity. You can get an increase of clouds and whatnot as well. And a lot of times it does bring precipitation, but it's always not a slam dunk guarantee. And again, depending on where you are, some people will see more precipitation than others out of a monsoon setup. So if we look at the ensemble mean, there's the ridge over us here as we go through this upcoming week. We scroll off in towards the weekend, and you can clearly see, again, there's that moisture surge out of the south. That monsoon surge is that ridge gets established here, and you get the steering southerly flow back up into the southwest. So that's what we're going to be watching here, and you can see a pretty good agreement there in the ensemble mean, keeping some above normal moisture values there, precipitable water as we go on in through the 7 to 10-day period again. So, and again, there's that tropical system also that starts to form down here. Some of the models have it moving a little bit further north and maybe impacting California with some of its moisture. Now, a percent of average annual rainfall that occurs during the North American monsoon, you can see it's very high across the Sierra Madre, some of Baja there, and up into Arizona and New Mexico, it's higher. But you can't see eastern portions, southeast California, and into Nevada. It is a certain percentage of the monsoon season, of the actual yearly precipitation totals here. So just kind of driving home that point, the monsoon is a bigger deal for New Mexico and Arizona and portions of southeastern California, some of Nevada and Utah here versus Western California. Once you get out towards the coastal areas here, your percentage of precipitation on a yearly basis is less of the monsoon, but it definitely can still happen. And some years are definitely more vigorous as far as the monsoon is concerned versus others. And this is also typical El Nino stuff here. So more hurricanes, less vertical wind shear, generally warmer temperatures there, sea surface temperatures, which we do indeed have this year. Just kind of an overall broad look at things here, and generally fewer hurricanes due to stronger vertical wind shear and trade winds and greater atmospheric stability here across some of the hurricane generation area there near Cuba or out to the east of Mexico there, where you can get some of these storms that will come in and affect the USA. So yeah, warm and wet, El Nino stuff, more hurricanes, more tropical systems here between Hawaii and the Mexico coastline. Now, if we take a look at the European, so this is last night's run. This goes only at 144 hours, but we are getting closer to this setup here as that ridge gets established over the central portion of the USA. So there's the remnants of Douglas out here just kind of floating around between California and Hawaii. We go off into the extended, and what we're looking at here is the European model on the left and the GFS, the Global Forecast System, generally known as the USA model, here on the right. If we put that into motion, you'll see that monsoon moisture on both models as we start to head on in towards what is that about Saturday, on the day Saturday, it starts to push into portions of California and Nevada by the time we go in towards Sunday. So pretty good model agreement there. We're starting to get closer to it. And I'm interested to see what kind of precipitation this might bring. Now, if we look at the European Artificial Intelligence total precipitation in inches, again, you can see some of that moisture surging up as we go through Sunday night and into Monday. And it generally favors Sierra Nevada eastbound across portions of Nevada, Riverside, Imperial, San Bernardino County, and maybe some of the higher terrain of Southern California there as well. Again, things can change quite dramatically between this time frame. You're still looking, 7 days off in the forecast, and you can see the big precipitation amounts across the Sierra Madre and trying to peak into Arizona there as we go on into hour 180. Now, looking at the artificial intelligence, I did want to look at this tropical system also. So we're looking at some of the low pressure locations. And if we go out far enough out, out towards 7, 8, 9, 10 days, you can see that tropical system forming down here. But most of the ensemble members keep that far well off to the southwest of the state of California, kind of between Hawaii and California right now. But that doesn't mean we still can't get a surge of moisture from that activity. And if we look at the European again on the left versus the GFS, this is yesterday afternoon's run. We're looking at mean sea level pressure. And of course, you got the Western USA there, and there's the Hawaiian Islands, the bottom left, GFS being on the right. We scroll a bit further out here and we start to look to see, do we have tropical cyclone development on both models? Well, you can kind of see that we do. The GFS goes ham with this thing and really develops a pretty strong hurricane. The European kind of keeps this thing off, a little bit further southwest. And this one kind of wants to move up Baja a little bit more, but you can see both models have the development of that tropical system. But as you can see, this is not really a threat ever to Southern California. I mean, it would take a very rare circumstance of a very powerful storm, probably later in the season, taking a perfect track, quick moving storm to bring any kind of tropical storm force winds into Southern California. It can happen. It's happened before. It's extremely rare that it would actually happen, though. The system would be weakening quite rapidly, and I'll show you why that is here more in a moment. But some fantasy forecasts, often the extended, I mean, look at the European wants to hold this as a pretty strong tropical system or maybe even a hurricane towards the Hawaiian Islands as you go out 15 days in the forecast. You don't believe that right now. It's just a fantasy forecast and just kind of looking at what the models are showing. But now we're looking at sea surface temperature anomaly. Now, this is the difference from normal, and you can see why these systems might pack a little bit more of a punch. They've got a lot of warm water to work with. However, if you look at the actual temperatures here, you can see how those waters dramatically cool as any system approaching northbound would start to really feel the effects of the lack of that, the warm water, which would help and would keep that deep convection going with the tropical system. So it would be weakening quite rapidly if it did take that perfect track into Southern California, but it would have a bit of a more of a punch versus normal. And especially in some of these tropical remnants, the above normal temperatures here could hold it together just a little bit longer. Now, daily 2-meter maximum temperature there. As we go through, this is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You see how we warm up by Thursday? A lot of the Great Valley is starting to approach 100. Bakersfield there. You can see Redding, Red Bluff, 103, 105. Coastal areas are where you want to be if you want to beat the heat for sure. North of the Bay Area, I mean, you're going up towards Crescent City and you're only in the lower 60s there, but you go inland, again, 105, and some of the interior areas, Death Valley, maybe approaching 120 degrees there. A lot of 100 and teens out there across the interior portions and California, Arizona border up into Las Vegas, probably approaching 110 on Thursday as well. Southern California, once you get away from the coastline, you're back up into the 90s there. Same thing down into San Diego County. But again, if you want to beat the heat, go out to the coastal areas where you're back down into some of the upper 70s. Now you go through Friday, and again, another very warm day here, especially for interior areas. And we go Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, as we head on in towards next week, that monsoon cloud cover is probably going to wreak some havoc with these temperatures as we go on in towards the mid portion of July. So if we take a look at the 14-day, the above normal across the west continues to exist as we go through July 20th. And there's the clear monsoon season signal there as we go July 14th through the 20th upcoming. Check us out on Patreon and Facebook. Also, there's a great weather station. If you're interested in that, click on that link down below to save 10% off. It's a lightning detection system, and it's a very fun weather station. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day otherwise, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's forecast.